Screw it. Indiana's by far the worst part of this song. The 90s beat's the best part of this song, but them having to mention the Indiana Pacers is definitely the worst part of this song. I honestly wonder if they'd made that song now, if they would mention referees. I feel like Scott Foster and Tony Brothers would get shout-outs, honestly, if they were to mention that song. Thank you for anyone that was waiting. I was supposed to start at 11:15. I was supposed to wait for Vin, who is in Florida, and said he was going to come on. I don't know where he is. He says he's on the phone, so I stopped waiting for him. So Joe Yoke here, Big Nick Energy, live streaming in between Game 3 and Game 4 of the Knicks-Pacers series. And for the Knicks, this series has gone eerily, and I'm saying eerily as it's a bad thing. It'd be a good thing if it goes eerily similar to the 76ers series, but it has gone eerily similar to the 76ers series so far. And the first thing I want to really talk about, as the thumbnail depicted, was the referees in the beginning of the series. And it's not even just the beginning of this series or the NBA as a whole or the playoffs as a whole or for any sports league in general. Bodega Mayor, what up? How's it going? Just in general, I listened to Ryan Russillo, the Ryan Russillo podcast. I've been listening to Ryan Russillo since he was on ESPN. I kind of grew up listening to SVP and Russillo in my late teens, early 20s. And now he does The Ringer. He does his own podcast. He's been out of radio for a while, but I still listen to him. And he said this in one of his most recent 2 podcasts. Now, I think the one before the one he just did with Mike Greenberg, where he was talking about the Knicks the whole time and how great this team is and how much of this team Greeny cheers for versus past teams, which you should listen to if you haven't already, because Mike Greenberg is awesome and a great representative of New York, a New York person within sports media that is not Stephen A. Smith. But one thing Russillo said was, yeah, people complain about the refs, but have you ever liked the refereeing? And then he also said that he said that before in the past, and I'm thinking in my head, if this guy has ever said this in the past, I feel like I would have gripped onto that so long ago, because I would have already been I never blame refereeing for any outcome. I really don't. I think the only time I've ever blatantly watched refereeing truly cost the team a game, win or lose, was the Saints-Vikings playoff game. No. Saints-Rams? Vikings-Rams? It was Saints-Rams. It was Jared Goff. What's it called? The pass along the sideline to Tommy Lee Lewis, the small Saints punt returner that was running a route, and he blatantly gets pass interference tackled at the 6 or 7 yard line. I'll be so wavy. I know, yeah, this is a little Lakers Kings 2001. I know that's a huge thing. The Lakers won that series, I believe, in 7 games. This is when the real fix is in of the overall. When Tim Donaghy was a thing, the Laker them pushing Shaq and Kobe during the whole dynasty they had, all that stuff. But I'm not gonna lie, I was only 10 in 2001, so just from my initial thing of just an actual one real refereeing moment costs a team a win or loss scenario in a game. The Saints would have been didn't call this pass interference, and I'm pretty sure that was 4th down, and that was the end of the game. So outside of a real crazy over the top scenario, or the Rockets game where you can't call that foul and they do, and that should have gone to the overtime. It literally has to be an end of the game play scenario where I'm that literally was the difference between winning or losing. LB So Wavy goes again. I don't know what's up with people having this thing. They don't want to blame the refs when it's the obvious reason. You're not going to lose credibility if you say that. I appreciate you giving me the platitude to be able to say that I do blame the refs for anything. I'm just saying I don't do it very often. Almighty Finesse, what's good? Knicks 2024 champs, what up? How's it going? Talking about the Rams Saints game. Remember that game? Awesome. It's from, I think 5 years back. All-day finesse, will get into the game in a little bit. I do also believe we're going to win tomorrow, and I'm going to get into why the 76ers series is going to relate to this series. But to go back to the referee thing, I'm not saying that I never blame the refs. I almost never blame refereeing. And the real reason is that it's unfortunately a known thing within the NBA, and not just the NBA. Hockey is known for this a little bit. I don't follow hockey too much. I just have a lot of friends that like hockey, and they say the same thing. Not baseball. Baseball umpiring just has terrible umpires for the most part. But in general, like soccer, I know a lot of times home players get whistles and away players get more yellow cards and stuff like that. And then the NFL as a whole just is a crapshoot, play to play, game to game. But for soccer, basketball, and hockey, the home team legitimately gets better calls than the road team. And if you're in a position down 2-0, and we know this for every single series in the playoffs. I tweeted this the other day. If it's not a 1 versus 8 seed, or like a team that's like decimated by injuries, like if Jalen Brunson was also out for the Knicks and they were down 2-0, or no, here, if the Pacers were down 2-0 and then they didn't have Tyrese Haliburton or Pascal Siakam in Game 3, the NBA isn't going to try to quote unquote push that series to go 6 or 7 games. They're like, this is kind of a waste of our time. These two teams aren't evenly matched. They're not going to do that. But the known stigma within the NBA specifically is that if you're a road team and you're up 2-0, you won the first 2 games, you held home court. And the NBA, like, it's even remotely possible that you're both evenly matched, for better or for worse. You got to win by 20 to win by 5. And I know that's a terrible, crappy thing to say or believe, but it just seems like it is what it is. It has been for years at this point. I feel like every single time you see a team go up 2-0 and it's not the 1-8 seed, barring any time the effing Miami Heat are in the 1-8 apparently, but they're going to, like, the home team in Game 3 is going to have a favorable whistle. So to get into the biggest one play scenario of what happens, Ben, I don't want to hear it. Again, and to get into this, you missed the beginning, Ben. I said I'm not blaming the referees. I'm just talking about it right now. To get into the scenario, what happens? So it starts with a fast break. Josh Hart gets the ball on either a rebound or a turnover. He's doing his Josh Hart thing where he's trying to be the fastest guy down the court. He actually got a rest yesterday. So, I mean, he's probably a little more well-rested at the 1:55 mark in the fourth quarter than he usually is, because he actually got to sit for 3.5 minutes. And he goes for a layup. It gets pinned against the backboard by Myles Turner. Is it a goaltend? Is it a block? 50-50 call. Even a super slow-mo, it looks like maybe by a couple frames it's a goaltend. They called it a block on the floor. It's not even reviewable in that instance. It is what it is. So that happens. And then on the very same play, because the block happens and now they have the ball. The Pacers got the rebound and now they're driving. It gets to the point where Andrew Nembhard is driving in for the layup to take the lead, go up by 2. And Pascal Siakam is straight up arm tackling. I know the thing says, like, online, everyone's calling it a half Nelson, and then one guy randomly, like a former wrestler in the comments of the original post was like, that's actually an arm bar, because an arm bar goes above the arm. Half Nelson would go under the arm. You go under the arm and grab the back of the neck. So it's technically an arm bar, and they don't call that. So, and then you're like watching the play and you're like, there's a referee right there. Why is that referee not calling that? And if you watch the replay, you can clearly see the ref is trying to look past where Pascal and Isaiah Hartenstein are fighting, or in essence, fighting for position from the looks of it. If you just blink of an eye, don't look at it again. And Andrew Nembhard has an open layup. The referee's job is to watch whether Jalen Brunson pushes him in the back or not, or whether there's contact on the drive. Should he have noticed Isaiah Hartenstein being pulled back? Absolutely. 100%. But the referee isn't really looking at Pascal Siakam and Isaiah Hartenstein in this scenario. What the ref was probably thinking was he was getting Isaiah Hartenstein mixed up with his other centers. I was going to say white centers, but Isaiah Hartenstein technically not white, but his other non-almost white centers, these guys are white. Jonas Valanciunas and Nikola Jokic, who wouldn't play defense on that, they would both box out and wait for a rebound, even though it's an open layup. Isaiah Hartenstein, under Tom Thibodeau, as we all know, would 100% go for that block, and he would have 1,000% contested Andrew Nembhard at the rim. And with how bad Andrew Nembhard played yesterday, the man was 0 for 6 before he had these last two shots, which were 5 of the last 7 points or 9 points the Pacers got to win the game. I don't think I would have assumed Andrew Nembhard would have finished over Isaiah Hartenstein in this scenario. LB goes, Andrew Nembhard, the forearm on Donte, the missed goaltending call, but they gave one to the Pacers right after. These are so obvious reasons to blame on top of the ref. Pacers crying about the referees. So the end point I want to get to about this before I really want to talk about Game 4 tomorrow. Rick Z goes, Precious and McBride better step up. I have a great feeling the Knicks will win in Game 5. Let's go Knicks. Knicks 24-4 champs, says the refs were a factor in Game 3. The only difference is our coach isn't bitching about it like Carlisle did. No, he is not, but I guarantee you if this happened again tomorrow, he probably will. So what I want to get to is that at the end of the day, the NBA and all sports that aren't one and done, which is kind of the one advantage that the NFL and the March Madness and some college sports have, over the NBA, the NHL, soccer having a back and forth 2-leg thing and all that, is that they do want the series to go as long as possible. They make the most money the more games are played. We do all know that. We all know that. And it's been known that if you want to win on the road and you're up 2-0, you better win by 15. Because if you're up 15, all of a sudden you're up 4 with 2 minutes left, and then who knows? Maybe the ref will blow the whistle. Maybe you will lose a goaltending call, and then you'll give them a crappy goaltending call, which the one goaltend on the DiVincenzo was a stupid play. He should have let the ball fall below the backboard before knocking it out. That was kind of on him. And then all of a sudden, you do have Brunson trying to foul bait. Did he get his arm hit? Absolutely. Are they going to call that on a triple team? Absolutely not. Not on the road. They might not even call that at home. And yeah, so it's 2-1. And I do want to get into why 2-1 isn't a bad thing for us. We don't have to even look that far back. Just to rattle off what happened in Game 3 of the last series that we lost. I mean, when we lost Game 3 against the 76ers, I got it right here. We lost 125-114. A couple things that are actually going to happen again. Ben, I'm going to block you if you keep crap talking me. A couple things that happened from last series to go into this series that I actually like. So we lost 125-114 to the 76ers, right? We actually got out-rebounded in this game against the 76ers. We had less free throws as a team than Joel Embiid did as an individual. And when did this game happen? It happened in Philadelphia after Nick Nurse complained after Game 2, where if we are to relate Game 1 of the Pacers series and Game 2 of the 76ers series, a couple crazier things did go the Knicks' way for them to get both those W's. They got both those W's. They won both the games at home. At the end of the day, all that matters is win or loss. It doesn't matter what the refs say or what any coach complains about. They got the wins at the end of the day. But how did the Knicks react in Game 4 after they lost Game 3 to the 76ers? Because this is the most important part. Game 4, they won the lowest scoring game of the series, 97-92. After they had just lost the highest scoring game of the series. They out-rebounded the Sixers by 10, 52-42. They went back to their offensive rebounding ways. They got more offensive rebounds than the Sixers by 6, 15-9. And even though they didn't make their free throws, they shot almost as many free throws as the Sixers did. They didn't have nearly as many free throw advantage as they did the game before. This game, it was 26-29. The game before in Game 3, again, Joel Embiid had more free throws than the whole Knicks did as a team. The one major caveat, and Almighty Finesse already brought it up. Wrong one. Where did the thing go? When is OG coming back? We need this effing guy. How long is a strained hamstring? OG Anunoby in this game against the 76ers, out of the Knicks' 52 rebounds, Josh Hart had 17 and OG had 14, his high for the playoffs. It was the game he scored. He had 16 points, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks. It was probably his second best game of the playoffs behind the game he just had in game 2 before he got hurt. Played 47 minutes. Just figure I'd throw that out there. The thing that I like, and the reason why I still think we can actually majorly out-rebound the Pacers tomorrow, is that in the Sixers game, Isaiah Hartenstein only had 4 boards as the starting center playing 28 minutes. This is the one game in the first series that Mitch Robinson didn't play game 4. He missed 1 game, 2 games? I'm not going to figure it out. He didn't play game 4. Precious Achiuwa got 7 rebounds off the bench, and Ihart only got 4. So our center combination only got 11 rebounds out of the 52. Josh Hart got 17, OG Anunoby got 14. We can totally out-rebound the Pacers tomorrow in a very similar manner and control the pace of the game the same way we did against the 76ers last series, which is a lot of good things I want to take from and how this happened from one series to the next and one game to the next. OG could have got a 40-piece game, too, against the Pacers. He came out of the game with 29. I think he would have had at least 35, for sure. Eugene, what up, man? I saw you, Ray. Where are we? Need Vin to co-sign that you're referring to. LB, the positive to all this is even with the referees still almost winning, Indiana almost collapsed. Facts. And for what it's worth, the Knicks have been better in the clutch than their opponents. I would say they played, 6 games in the first series? They played 3 games so far. Out of the 9 games, and every game's been in the clutch for the most part. They've outplayed their opponents in the clutch. I would say all but 2 of the 9. They've lost 3 games so far. They've been the better team in the clutch in all but 2 of the games. 1 game didn't really have clutch time because the Sixers won by 11 or whatever it is. And they bounced back and reacted really well. Jalen Brunson's not on the injury report tomorrow, which I think is a phenomenal bit of news for us because he was listed as questionable in game 2. And if he was still having major lingering issues with his foot, they would definitely have him listed as questionable again. There's no reason for them not to include him on the injury report unless he actually feels good. Eugenio says, I'm assuming he's saying that Ben called game 2 to a T. Ben goes, we got Noah Clowney. He's talking about the Nets, who was on their roster, which good luck, man. I mean, if there's a team that's going to bounce back next year, it's going to be the Raptors, not the Nets. We won't have OG or Robinson. This is unfortunately true. Y'all got Jalen Brunson. Okay, I'm not going to compare Julius Randle and Noah Clowney. Eugene, the ghost of Burke was balling game 3. Hopefully he can keep it up. Alec Burks in the second quarter last night was amazing. Absolutely fantastic. You couldn't ask for anything else from the guy. The only problem is that Alec Burks in the fourth quarter, or the second half really, I'm pretty sure he went 4 for 4 in the first half yesterday and 0 for 2 in the second half. And you saw the one time where he brought the ball up and he had just missed his last shot and he was like, you know what? I know I just missed my last one, but I started out 4 for 4, and it's still Alec Burks time, baby. Pull-up jumper, transition 3. It didn't go in. It was a brick, and Thibs immediately took him out in that moment. I think it was like the 6.5 or 7 minute mark left in the fourth quarter, and you could tell that was going to be a thing. Only Finesse goes, I do not want to see Burks on the court. I got to let you know, I think he's our 7th guy now. I think he's our 7th guy. We're going to keep starting Precious, I would imagine. I think we should actually start Myles and actually be more likely to close with Precious personally, because I'd rather the Knicks start out with the space that we opted for in the fourth quarter last night, and then, assuming it's close, try to opt for the defense and rebounding. Not saying I think McBride is a better on-ball defender than Precious against guards, obviously, but Precious is way better at covering Pascal Siakam and or Myles Turner and or grabbing rebounds than Miles McBride is. So I would rather us start with Deuce again, like we did earlier in the season, and then close with Precious most likely, depending on the scoring and the matchup of the situation. But we are going to see Alec Burks. Alec Burks has definitely earned himself at least 6 minutes in the first half to see if he can carry it over again. 2024 champs goes the Knicks out rebound Indy, then they win, which exactly why I was bringing up game 3 and game 4 of the Sixers series, because it's like that was the only game we were out rebounded in the series, and then sure enough, we switched it up entirely, went back to what we were doing, out rebounded by 10. If we keep the free throw attempts similar on the road, if we keep the free throw attempts similar on the road, it's okay if the Pacers shoot a couple more free throws than us. They're the home team. They're down 2-1. Not that big of a deal. But if we can keep it within like 3 to 4, and then we out-rebound them the way we should, I agree. I think we should win tomorrow. And I'm hoping it's so funny that the first 2 games, which have like Pacers-like scores, were the games that the Knicks won, and the third game, which had a Knicks-like score, was the game the Pacers won. Very interesting series so far. Shout out to the 350 watching right now, mostly on Twitter. We got 20 on YouTube. Anyone on YouTube, if you can hit the like button, always appreciate it. Share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Much appreciated. Anyone that can check out the shop, bignickenergy.com. Our best selling thing right now is the Not Like Us t-shirt that Finn made in Knicks coloring and font. Really cool. Also, I feel like even though Kendrick Lamar is from Compton and he represents the West Coast, it definitely is like Not Like Us. I feel like it's definitely a thing that Knicks fans could gravitate towards and feel that the rest of the league is not like us. The Knicks do play a very unique style. They do have a very unique mindset because of Thibs, Brunson, and the rest of them. And no one else has the power of friendship. So really, no other team is like us if you think about it. So I get why people are buying the shirt. Almighty Finesse goes Boston's beatable. They did look beatable in the first half tonight, and then they pulled away with their 3-pointers galore. And Jason Tatum got sick of hearing people saying that he wasn't good or washed or whatever, even though he made the first team All-NBA over Brunson. I think that's so weird and interesting that All-NBA first team and the top 5 MVP voting did not have the same top 5. Because Brunson finished ahead of Tatum in MVP voting and then didn't finish ahead of him for All-NBA first team. So I don't really understand. Almighty Finesse goes, I am concerned with Thibs running these players into the ground. I have agreed and would have agreed in the past a lot of times. I think Thibs is actually much better than he used to be. I don't agree with Josh Hart playing 48 minutes back-to-back, but I do think that's kind of on Hart that Thibs asks him, do you want to come out? And he keeps saying no, which I feel like most of them say no, but he's the only one that he believes or something for some reason. But the Knicks are missing their second best, their third best, their fifth, their sixth, seventh best. I don't know, whatever you think of, Mitch. Their sixth best and their eighth best player in Bogdanovic. That's 4 out of the 9-man rotation they were expecting to play. We're talking about, unfortunately, Almighty Finesse. You can't say you don't want Alec Burks on the court and you're concerned with Thibs running the players into the ground, because if we're getting to the point of talking about Daquan Jeffries, Diakite, or Shake Millen, then it's not looking good. We're running these guys in the ground. Jericho Sims played 4 minutes. I think he was out of position on 3 out of 6 drive attempts, and that was the end of the first half and end of the game for Jericho Sims yesterday. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't at this point. Thibs now more than ever needs to use his bench. Ralph, how's it going? Playing without Bogey, Randall, OG, and Mitch, and if not for Nembhard prayer, the Knicks would be up 3-0. That's the thing about losing yesterday, is that even with the refs going against them, even with the Indiana crowd like being that was a great crowd. That was a phenomenal road playoff crowd. Good for them. And you can also tell with the amount of deuce chants that made it through the screen and the amount of let's go Knicks chants that every once in a while you could hear that the Knicks fans still probably had like 100 to 200 people there, which is a great showing considering Indiana and New York are not close. It's definitely flying distance. It really is an example of, I know Legion Hoops and a couple other people tweeted this, but instead of going to MSG, you could buy a plane ticket, fly to Indiana, book a hotel, buy a decent mid-level seat, and then stay overnight and fly back for almost the same, if not cheaper, than you can go to MSG. It really is crazy. But, like, even with all those things happening, the Knicks still took this Andrew Nembhard. I was 0 for 6 prior to the bullcrap layup I probably shouldn't have even gotten to attempt. Prayer. It was the longest. I'm pretty sure it tied for the longest shot of his career. It's a 31-footer. Steph Curry wakes up and sleeps on 31-footers. I know it's Steph Curry, but still, the guy's not meant to make that shot. He couldn't believe it went in. His follow-through looked borderline terrible considering he was basically open. He was like, forget it. Oh my God. That was Tyrese. Oh my God, it went in. Andrew Nembhard's like, is that for me? Did I do that? Like, no way. Like, there's no way the Knicks should have actually lost on that of all things. So even with all the refs and all that crap going, they were still a crazy shot, a couple iffy calls, and Jalen Brunson not making the best decision on the road on the last chance they really had to tie or go down one with 13 seconds left. I think we should have got a layup and play the foul game. There's 13 seconds left. I know they didn't have any timeouts, but hindsight's 2020, whatever. They were still that close to being 3-0. And the Pacers are still a soft, non-defensive team. I think the Knicks have found something with... So Pascal was cooking a little bit last night against Josh Hart. I think I found this out on the Locked On Pacers podcast because you can look it up on NBA.com. So if I'm off a number here or there, I'm sorry I didn't look it up. I just got it from their podcast. I'm going to repeat it here. Pascal Siakim, I believe, was 6 of 7 against Josh Hart and 3 of 5 against Precious Achiuwa, but only 1 of 3 against Isaiah Hartenstein. And I know we all saw towards the end that Hart was the one covering Pascal and that Precious or Hart or whoever, I think it was Hart because Precious wasn't out there towards the end. It goes back to the offensive rebounding we kept giving up. Hart on Turner so he could roam a little bit and watch him at the 3-point line as a big. Hartenstein only gave up 1 of 3 against Pascal in 3.5 minutes of covering him. So I think there's something there that it's better to put Hart and put the length and the size on Pascal instead of giving Josh Hart, which entirely unrelated. I'm sorry, I'm going to take this 1 second tangent about Jason Tatum. I tweeted this when the game was happening, and the reason it came to me is because Jason Tatum had a mismatch of Darius Garland on him, almost on the low block. He was on the baseline, not quite the low block, but he was like closer to 12 feet away than 20 feet away. And this guy takes a dribble with Darius Garland on him, and literally I did the evil Kermit meme. It's like, Kermit, take it strong to the rim and finish. Draw contact. Evil Kermit, take a pointless step back 17-footer for no reason on the guy 6 inches shorter than you. Tatum, just take it to the rim, bro. And what Pascal was doing against Josh Hart that was good is that he was actually trying to drive on him, and he would get close. He does do a little step back mid-range, but he's closer than 18 feet away when he does it. He's like 12 to 14 feet away. He's just in a better position. So that's why I want to put I want to put the size of Hartenstein on Pascal again, if we're going to go that way. For what's worth, Locked On Pacers also mentioned putting Jrue Sims back out there, and I think we all can agree that's probably not happening at this point. So, let's be real. OG Anunoby is one of the best 5 defenders in the NBA. Saying OG is not that good is not a smart comment. I feel like I'm missing some of these because I'm skipping all of Ben's whatever. Almighty Finesse goes, I wanted Jrue Holiday on this team to pair with Brunson. That would have been nice. It would have been really nice. Jrue Holiday and Derek White as a tandem are why the Celtics aren't soft. I think Jalen Brown, I think Jason Tatum can be a dog. He sometimes comes and goes. Sometimes he gets 12 rebounds in the game. Sometimes he jacks 30-footers for no reason. One of the 10 best players in the league. But whatever. And we all know who Porzingis is. Horford was a dog. He's old as hell. But Jrue Holiday and Derek White are why that team was best or second best in the league I think they finished number 1 over Magic. Or no. They were 3rd behind the Wolves and the Magic. Somewhere around there. But they were a top 5 defense. And it's mostly because of Jrue Holiday and Derek White at the point of attack. Jrue Holiday is a dog. Jrue Holiday would have been dope to pair with Jalen Brunson. Although I do love what Donte DiVincenzo is giving us. He's been way better on ball recently in these playoffs. I'm pretty sure we can all tell for the most part that he's jumping way less at if he passes. If he doesn't think he can make it, he's staying in front of his man better. He's been doing he did a decent job. We could say a gosh darn good job against Tyrese Maxey in Game 6. Donte DiVincenzo's defense on Tyrese Maxey helped us close the Sixers out in Philadelphia instead of having to wait till Game 7. And I think with a couple of days covering Tyrese Haliburton, man, and I know Tyrese has been picking it up. I think this is going to be the time where he's gonna. I think he's gonna have a great game tomorrow on Tyrese. But Jrue Holiday would have been nice to have on this team. Would I want to pay Jrue Holiday $140 million over the next 3 years at 34, 35 years old? Probably not. Eugene goes wanting for McBride to have one of those games again. All my finesse also was like, imagine Jrue and OG. Holy shit. Agreed. LB responds to what I was saying before about you can't have it both ways. We need to do an 8 or 9 man rotation. Jericho Sims and Alec Burks. Yeah, I don't think Sims is going to get much playing time at all, or if at all. Again, I think if Sims gets even 2 minutes here or there, it's because iHearts and or Precious are tired and or in foul trouble. I don't think it's going to be by choice. Eugene goes, we need Oakley at the Garden or on 7th Ave after Game 5. Ben goes, Draymond Green said you guys will get egotistical and complacent, thinking your roster is nice. When you are facing teams that are injured. I'm actually glad that you trolled and said this because I want to just say real quick, I'm going to try to catch up because I'm a little far behind on these comments. If the Pacers, I was thinking this on the ride to work today. Imagine if the Pacers made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, like how fugazi this is going to be. And what stinks is that I was thinking this, and then I also heard it on Knicks Film School, so I can't even say that this is my original take because I literally was thinking that, like, if the Pacers made the ECF going up against no Giannis and half a Dame for the Bucks, also the Bucks that they owned all year, they just was a matchup nightmare for them because the Bucks were horrendous in transition defense, and that's all the Pacers do is try to run and gun in transition. Terrible matchup. They didn't have their two best players for half the games in the series. They didn't have Giannis almost at all. And yeah, so they would beat the Bucks. And now imagine if they beat the Knicks they lost OG. Let's be real. OG is not playing Game 4. He's not playing Game 5. Game 6 would be 8 days after the injury, and Game 7 would be 10 days after the injury. I think if we got to Game 7, it'd be the first time we might see OG Anunoby. The real goal is for us to somehow get out of this series and then get OG for Game 1 or 2. Thank you. Ralph just brought me a water. Much appreciated. Get out of Game 1 or 2 for Boston. Ideally, that's when we could actually get OG back, but probably not going to happen. So the Pacers would beat the Bucks. They would beat us with no OG, no Randall, no Bojan. We lost Mitchell Robinson. Like, if there's a fugazi team that's going to be like, oh my God, we're so close, we did so great, and then next year majorly underachieve unless Tyrese Haliburton takes another step or goes back to all NBA Tyrese Haliburton like the first half of the year, and it's not just like a run and gun sideshow like 7 seconds or less Suns that never got past the second round. I think they made the Western Finals once. I'd have to go back and look. But, like, not a team that's actually, like, set up to compete for the championship. That's the fugazi team. The Knicks still have, like, the second most first-round picks to deal. The Knicks still have, like, decent amount of cap room and an owner actually willing to go into the cap. For all the things that's ever been said negative about James Dolan, he's willing to spend money. And at the end of the day, the NBA needs a couple things for you to be good. You need to be willing to spend money, probably go over the cap if you have a good team, have a bunch of draft picks that you could either use or trade, and have a superstar player, at least one. And we have literally all three of those things. Jalen Brunson is a superstar at this point. I can't even believe I get to say this anymore. I said this last Wednesday. It's fantastic, phenomenal, amazing that I get to say that Jalen Brunson is a superstar. We have a superstar on the team for a fantastic contract. He might as well be a rookie superstar. That's how great the contract is. So there's a fugazi team. It's not the Knicks. There's only one in the series. So, Draymond, come on now. Anyone that I skipped a comment of, I'm going to try to go back really quick and see if I can just reel all these off. Neo Koyo 23 from Twitter. I'm going to keep it a buck with you if Cleveland takes one more game from Boston. So I think the Knicks will beat the Boston in the conference finals. We need OG back. Straight up. No matter... I think I'm going to end up picking Boston regardless. Like, I would pick Boston in 7 if we have OG and a healthy, knock on wood, roster otherwise, because I do think winning Boston having home court and winning that series without home court is going to be extremely difficult. But if the Knicks don't have OG, it's Boston in 5, honestly. Like, it's going to be maybe 6 because they can't get out of their own way sometimes. But the Knicks need OG. They need a healthy Brunson. They need, knock on wood, to just keep Precious and Hart both healthy for our big rotation. Because imagine if we do get to the point of having to play Sims like 15, 20 minutes a game. It's going to, like, dude, this team is missing 4 of their best 8 players. It's so annoying. It's so aggravating. It's so aggravating to have to witness this. These playoffs altogether have so many injuries across every team. It's crazy. We're just getting the worst of it. Facts. I mean, the worst of it would be not being in the playoffs. So if you want to say technically the Bucks got the worst of it because they got eliminated and have Giannis, that's a rough place to be in. All My Finesse goes, man, the indie crowd was whack. They're not like us. They're definitely not as they were great. They were a good crowd. You could tell over the TV. They're not New York. I mean, nothing's the Mecca. Nothing's the Garden, but good for them. I forgot. I don't know who tweeted it, but I wish I could remember. But someone was like, imagine trying to get a bunch of New Yorkers to all wear the same t-shirt. And they were talking about Indiana, but also the OKC game was on at the same time because it was after the Indiana Pacers, the Knicks game. And literally all of the Thunder fans were wearing, like, they had individual sections, like they were all white, they were all blue, they were all white, they were all blue. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, yeah, there's no shot that would ever happen in New York. There's no shot you're making a bunch of people wear all individual stuff. Also, for what it's worth, does that make it harder to shoot for anyone? Does it make it easier to shoot? What does wearing the t-shirts matter? It's about how loud you are. Knicks 2024. If Embiid was that injured, coming back before season's end was stupid. LB, I hate when Knicks double team, but that final 3 from Andrew should have been double teamed. It's really hard to say that in hindsight because the dude, he was 32 feet away. He got the ball. He got a grenade with like 3 seconds left in the clock. Haliburton was the one that passed him a ball, which in essence means Haliburton is still 1 pass away. So it's hard to really put the blame on the Knicks defense in that scenario. A guy that has no business making a 30-foot shot made a 30-foot shot, and you lost the game. It's not like Dame Lillard hit the game winner over Paul George from like 28, 30 feet. And with no time left and everyone knew he was going to take the shot and they didn't go after him. Dakota, what's up? How's it going? Why did Brunson try to bait a foul instead of finding the best shot with 16 seconds remaining? He admitted in the postgame that was a terrible decision. He was triple teamed. I also think it was a terrible decision. With 16 seconds remaining, I know they had no timeouts. I think they should have gone for 2. I think they should have just, you fake a 3. You're like, he was triple teamed. There's at least 1, if not 2 open people to pass away. It's just, that's why I have so much faith in Brunson learning in the Knicks tomorrow and learning from the mistakes. Because the end of game 3 against Philadelphia, again, also when they lost like that game 97-92, a couple of those plays at the end also were mistakes made by Brunson and Hart. And then they won the next game. I just have faith in this team's ability to come back. So why? It wasn't a good decision. There is no good why. He's not, and again, back to the home road ref thing. He wasn't even at home. So did Nembhard hit him on the arm prior to the shot? Yes. Is a ref really going to call that unless it's the loudest, like the gunshot slap that you could hear from like 100? That was terrible. I couldn't even do it. From like 100 feet away? They're not calling that at all on the road. Like, you're triple teams. You got to pass out. It was a terrible move. Almighty, instead of it, would you actually trade, thinking of it, would you trade Mitch for Jrue Holiday? Holiday makes a lot of money. Am I trading Mitch and Bogdanovich for Jrue Holiday? And plus with what they sent for him, they'd probably want a first round pick in return. I don't know. I'm not doing that for 34, 35-year-old Jrue Holiday. If he made less money, I would think about it. The fact you have to combine multiple tradable contracts, because I think he's making 36 a year, 35 a year. Let's see if I could look up super fast what Jrue Holiday's contract is. Jrue Holiday contract. He signed a 4-year, $35 million contract extension. Let's go to Sport Track. Is it Sport Track or Sport Track? Sport Rack. I've never really Spot Rack. Spot Rack. I should probably learn how to read. Next year, his cap hit is $67 million. That's wild. His next year, it's making $30 million. So it's not Mitch. It's literally the equivalent of trading Mitch and Bojan. And I'm sure they would want a first-round pick. Also, for what it's worth, what I say all the time, what I've said in the past multiple times, the 76ers are not sending Joel Embiid to the Knicks. No matter what, even if the Knicks had the best deal, they are not doing that. They're not sending Embiid inter-division to the Knicks or the Celtics. The Celtics aren't trading one of their best pieces and a prime point of attack asset in Jrue Holiday and a leader of the locker room. Jrue Holiday is a leader and a great guy wherever he goes. A locker room glue guy, an awesome veteran. He actually has a championship to his name, unlike most people on the roster, including Al Horford, who's 38 years old and doesn't have a championship to his name. Like Jrue Holiday does. He knows what it takes. They're not trading him, and the Nets aren't trading Mikal Bridges to the Knicks either. I just don't see. When the Knicks call up to make trades with people involving, like if it's a draft day trade and the Knicks are like, hey, Boston, we'll trade you 2 picks for your better pick. Like that's whatever, maybe. But these teams, those 4 teams, the Knicks, Nets, 76ers, Celtics, are almost never sending really good players to one another unless one of them is absolutely tanking. So could the Nets send Mikal Bridges? Probably not to the Knicks, but they would be the most likely one of that scenario to actually trade one of their best player or one of their best players to one of the other teams in the conference, in the division, I mean. Toronto, for some reason, even though they're in division, they don't care. They'll just trade whoever. I don't know. Besides, just like, what's the best deal? Give me a package. We're not even in the same country, man. Are we in the same division? I don't consider you a rival. We're not even in the same country. LB goes, I've been saying this since January. It's how Haliburton is a manufactured star around the in-season tour with the Lakers. He hasn't played like that since. Oh, talking about Dakota then goes, hamstring injury, put Haliburton back and stuff. That it did. Triboy goes, no OG for the rest of the series. So the official announcement that Woj made on NBA Countdown, I think in between the first game, the Mavericks Thunder, and the second game, the Celtics Cavs, was that OG is out for game 4. He is unlikely for game 5, and the Knicks are hopeful for game 6. I'm just saying pessimistically that game 6 would be 8 days after the initial injury. What I saw online, the best of hamstring, the best of an injury, is 7 to 10 days. What we know about OG Anunoby, what the Raptors know about OG Anunoby, the guy is not known for coming back at the beginning of injury windows, let's say. If an injury for some guys is 4 to 6 weeks, for OG, I'm assuming it's closer to the 6 weeks than the 4 weeks. So if it says 7 to 10 days and game 6 is day 8 and game 7 is game 10, I would guess game 7 if he was to come back this series at all. But the best case scenario would be win game 4 tomorrow, close out game 5 without him, and then just let the whole team rest as Boston closes out Cleveland and hopefully 6 or 7 instead of 5. If the Cavs could just win one more game and the Knicks could, knock on wood, pray to whatever God you believe in, like burn some candles, light a vigil, whatever you want to do. If the Knicks could somehow beat the Pacers in 5 games and the Celtics don't beat the Cavs in 5 games, that is the absolute best case scenario for not just OG and Brunson, but this whole damn team. Let Josh Hart take more than a 2-hour nap, for God's sakes. The guy plays 48 minutes every day. Does Josh Hart even practice anymore, or does he only play? Ralph goes, at college games only will get you fans to wear the shirts you want them to. Yeah, it's just not a New York thing. College works that way. Some small market teams work that way. It's just, I mean, Syracuse, New York can do it, but New York City just not as known. I don't even I watched a lot of St. John's games. I don't see them wearing red all the time. It just, I don't know. Almighty Finesse. What if us Knicks fans actually wore all orange and blue for these playoff games? That would be, if they actually were able to do what the Thunder did, which was orange, blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, that would be pretty impressive. Ben is trying to trade us Mikal for Deuce, Bojan, and picks. I love Deuce, and I'll take it. I don't think, thank God you're not the GM of your team, though, because they would be really mad at you. Knicks will be 2024 champs. OG is one of a handful of players who can defend all 5 positions. Looking at stats doesn't tell the story of his impact. You are preaching to the choir. Let me tell you. We're almost at 500 eyes right now. Well, I guess 1,000 eyes technically. 470 on Twitter, 25 on YouTube, Anyone that's on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Anyone that hasn't checked it out, shop now, bignickenergy.com. Got a bunch of cool stuff. Like I said before, my favorite shirt's the Not Like Us. Can't, how could I forget that song? It's such a bop. The Not Like Us shirt that Vin made, that's basically the Kendrick Not Like Us, but in New York Knicks blue and orange font. It's the best seller we have in the past week. We also have a couple of cool new ones. Obviously, you need to get a Deuce shirt because I told you to. The Deuce with the holding the two of spades in front of his mouth. And if Precious Achua can get another game or two going where he's like, good, Precious, man, I'm going to get Vin to make a shirt for us. I'm going to get Vin to make a Precious shirt. I don't know if it'll be like Schmeagle. I don't know if it'll have the ring like Lord of the Rings. I don't know if he'll make him like Eddie Murphy, the Prince, the movie with the Prince coming to New York. I don't know what I'm going to get him to do, but I'm going to try to get him to make a Precious shirt. Knicks 2024 also goes the Cavs won't win another game. I don't think so either. Talking about repeating series, like I was saying that if the Knicks can repeat the game 4 after game 3 like last month, like last series, if the Celtics repeat the same thing they did against Miami against the Cavs, where they actually lost game 2 at home, and everyone's like, oh my God, are the Celtics not not ready for the playoffs or just not taking their opponent seriously? They then rattle off game 3, 4, and 5 with an average margin of victory of like 18 points. So there's a strong possibility that's about to happen because I don't think the Celtics really care if they're at home or on the road. If you actually look at the Celtics' home record in the playoffs since they've had Tatum and Brown, not that great considering they only lost three home games all year in the regular season this year. They're not that great of a home playoff team. They're actually a better road playoff team with Tatum and Brown as the core two. Almighty finesse. What if the Cavs actually knock the Celtics out? Then the Knicks better beat the Pacers because we're going to the finals, baby. We're going to the finals if we're playing the Cavs. They're soft like talcum powder, baby aspirin, cocoa butter. They're soft like Vaseline. They're soft like dried up sad runny eggs. They're so soft. No, but I don't think the Cavs are going to beat the Celtics, unfortunately. That would be really nice. It would be really, really nice if that was the case. And then we could watch Isaiah Hartenstein bully Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, and Josh Hart just grab rebounds over and over again, ripping out their souls. And maybe we can get more Jared Allen memes. Be like, even though we made the Eastern Conference Finals this year, maybe the MSG lights were too bright. So funny. LB goes, the Knicks are the only team in the NBA where we have exclusive merch where we collaborate with high-end streetwear brands. So we never wear the same thing like these other teams. Yeah, shout out Grungy Gentlemen. Jason's been on the podcast multiple times before. Their brand actually does a lot of Knicks-only stuff. I know he actually does it for quite a few teams now, but just in general, his stuff is also on NBA 2K, which is really cool. Shout out Kith, obviously. Kith's been doing a lot of stuff, and the KITH, seeing them actually turn into the Knicks logo and them selling it and then giving the hoodies out to the players, also a cool thing. So, yeah, it's just, like, think of how many Knicks brands there are that have nothing to do with the team. KFTV, Knicks Film School, Big Nick Energy, The Strickland, like, Posting and Toasting. I think it's fan-sided technically, but, like, still. Knicks Nation. Good. Shout out to Knicks Nation. They've been up and coming for a while. I see their stuff like quite a few places. Knicks Muse is like one of the largest muses. It's because of how big the Knicks are, how big New York City is, how big this fan base is, even without winning a championship since 1973. We have so many fans and so many different people and so many different outlets that allow us to have so many different things. Could Oklahoma City or Portland ever do this? No shot. No shot. I know Mill isn't a part of us anymore, but me and Mill used to joke around like, hey, Mill, do you think if we did a Portland Trailblazers podcast instead, we'd probably get more people? Because there'd be no competition. Like, only the Knicks are capable of actually bringing in so many people and being so large. Maybe the Bulls, the Warriors, and the Lakers and Celtics could do it, but not the same. How about the Nets? Definitely not. Not even a little bit. And Ben, Donovan Mitchell's not better than Jalen Brunson. We literally have multiple years of individual playoff matches where they go against each other that say Jalen Brunson's better. Even with a lower draft stock, smaller size, worse at defense. He's better. He's a better scorer. His team is better. It is what it is. Shout out to everyone watching right now. We got 5:10. I'm about to sign off. We got a solid 50 minutes in. Quick predictions for tomorrow's game. I do truly believe that the Knicks are going to actually bounce back and win game 4. Just to look up real quick, the line for the game tomorrow. Pacers minus 5.5, which better than the Pacers minus 7 last game where the Pacers didn't cover. So if you took the Knicks but didn't take the money line, good for you. Pacers minus 5.5. The over-under is 217.5. I think this is another game that might actually go over. I know 2 of the 3 have gone over so far. I don't have faith in the Pacers defense. I think the Knicks are going to adjust. And Aaron Nesmith, who, if you look up Pacers Twitter or Reddit or their podcasts and stuff, they were all saying how Aaron Nesmith did a better job of shutting down Jalen Brunson with his size and length and all that stuff. Tell me how many Sixers fans and Sixers people you heard about that in the last round. I just want to remind anyone that doesn't know, even though Jalen Brunson shot like below 40% against Aaron Nesmith last game on a bad foot that he went into the game questionable for, and now he doesn't have an injury designation for, which is a good sign for him being better for the future, as in tomorrow the future, not in the future. Jalen Brunson shot about 66% with Aaron Nesmith as the primary defender in the regular season. Kelly Oubre, who was the best Brunson stopper this year, if you go by overall volume and then how good or bad Brunson did, all the way up until game 2 of last series, then watched Jalen Brunson put up 39, 43, 40, and 41 on his team. If the Pacers really think Aaron Nesmith is going to be the Brunson stopper, I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening tomorrow. For the Knicks end, again, it's all about Dakota wants to just twist the knife a little bit more. If Brunson continues to foul bait instead of shooting for the win, like I said, I think he learned from that. I don't think he's going to do that again. Also, hopefully we're not in a position where we are losing by 3 with 12 seconds left and no timeouts and don't call a play. But anyway, when the Knicks are on defense, again, I want to reiterate the shutting down Pascal Siakam and making sure either Precious does a better job on him or Josh Hart just isn't matched up on him that much. Precious needs to do better. Hart needs that matchup a little bit. And Devo just needs to do a great job against Haliburton, man. Like I said, Devo did a great job against Maxey in Game 6. We're going to need Donte, we need you to have your next best defensive game of this postseason tomorrow. It's just what we need, what we're going to look for. Let's go Knicks. Dakota, I'm pretty sure you're a Pacers fan, so good luck to you tomorrow. Based on the comments, thanks for tuning into you. Thanks for everyone tuning in. Everyone on Twitter and YouTube, anyone on YouTube, hit the like button, share, all that good stuff. Anyone on Twitter or YouTube, check out our shop again, bignickenergy.com. Get the Not Like Us shirt, get the Boston 316 shirt. Trill Boy, you're the last comment. Knicks winning by 6 points tomorrow. Let's go. I like that. We're going to go 113-107. Let's go Knicks. Peace. Dakota, you're right. Donte has been amazing. That's a good closing line right there.